So hi guys, welcome to issue 14 and 15 of the Warhammer Stormbringer. In this issue we're going to be building, I think, 6 models. We're going to be building 3 Skewer Boltboyz and I think 3 Stormcast Praetors. You'll see the reason why I'm saying I think later on. So these are the magazines, and I do apologise for the light bounce. So this is issue 14, the Skewer Boltboyz, and the articles are on Ogre Moor Tribes, tells you a little bit more about them, forging alliances, a little bit more information. This is actually section 8 of the Kruleboyz, and then we have the guide on how to put together the Skewer Boltboyz, which you will see later. How to paint. Quite a nice little article on painting from dark to light, and it says to apply dark paints first because the light ones are easier if you get a smudge. As you'll see in the next issue, that isn't always the case, but it's good to learn these little tricks, and then you learn when those tricks apply and when those tricks don't apply. So this is the painting which we're not going to be doing. Instead we'll be Zenithal highlighting them, and this is what they will look like when they're finished. This is another little playthrough which they give us just about every issue, and then the next issues. So issue 15, Stormcast Praetors. So a little bit more about Order. This is Cities of Sigmar, and then straight into how to build the Praetors. And then all about painting them. Then this one, it says about applying paints in a practical order. So what they've done here, this is something that I've always been taught. This is applying paint from the lower recesses and you're building upwards. So you can't always put the light on top of the dark. In this particular example, you do the gold armor, then you do the silver chainmail, then you do the red ropes on top of that, and that's because if you paint the top bit and then you've got to try and get underneath, it doesn't work. So this is the painting of them, and that's what now this is where I've got confused, because we have a picture on the front of 3 models. If you look at the instructions, number 1, number 2, number 3, picture of 4 models, and then on the painting it's got a picture of 4 models. However, looking at the weapons, 1, 2, 3 bodies, 1, 2, possibly 3, 3 capes. I'm sure there's only 3, but why would they give us pictures of 4? And also, we only get 3 bases. So either we're a base short, or I don't know. So we'll see what happens. If we can get a 4th one out, we will. So on to a playthrough. More information. These are war scrolls. These war scrolls, I do like the way they present them. So let me just bring this up a little bit closer. So they have the main guts, the main information. So you see you've got 5 inches movement, 1 wound, 4 bravery, and a 6 of save. And then they have slightly more detail there. So there you have the range of their weapons, how many attacks, hit, rend damage, and then they have more specific things here. So 1 model in the unit can be a boss. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic. That's quite normal. The boss gets 1 extra attack. You could also have a standard bearer. 1 in every 10 models in this unit can be a scrap totem bearer. You can re-roll battle shock tests. Then you could have a musician. And then they have a special, sometimes they have special skills, which makes their unit a little bit more unique. And then you've got some more war scrolls for the I've forgotten what, Stormcast Eternals, victory conditions, and then we have got, in the next issue, we have some terrain, which I will be doing the terrain exactly the same way as I do this one. But in issue 17 will be a paint issue, so we will only do the one issue. We'll have a little play. We've got Abaddon Black coming, which is just a straight black. We're going to be getting our very first shade. Now, shades do amazing things to models, and I think what we'll do is we'll up the ante a little bit. What we'll do is we'll use that shade on every model. A little bit hard to explain now because I haven't explained what Zenithal highlighting is, but I think between the Zenithal highlighting and an all-over Agrax Earthshade, I think these models will actually look pretty good pretty quickly. So let's see how I get on with the building. Okay, so that's the 6 models done, and it's definitely 6. I've cut all the spare pieces off, as you can see, empty sprue. And we've got a front of a body there, but not a back. We've got 4 heads. Now, I noticed each of the Praetors, they had a choice of 2 heads. We've got an arm there, and we've got an axe, but certainly not enough to make another model. So let's look at what we've got. Now, what I found quite strange, let's get a bit of a zoom in there, shall we? So this was a nice one, very, very complicated around this part there. Took me a long time to figure out what was going on. Once I figured that out, it made it a lot easier for the second one, or rather the third one. This one went together quite well, bit confused about the head. So in the end I just found somewhere to put his helmet, and that's gone on fine. And then this one, he went on absolutely fine. I quite like this quiver on the back. Is it quiver? Where you, come on, give us a focus. And then the Praetors went together quite well. Now, they were glued together. These were all snap fit, and as a result, there's quite some massive gaps, which I don't particularly love. Now, obviously, as a basic model, they're fine, but, you know, I would put some glue on there. I'm going to go with it as a snap fit, but you do really want to be filling those. There is actually a section on filling gaps, so a bit of gap filling. This one went together quite well. On all of these, you got a little bit of scenery to fill in the second hole, and you get a choice of 3. But then obviously the second model, you've only got a choice of 2. They all basically interchange. But he went together quite well. Bit of a gap there, as you can see. This one I really didn't like. This cape bit there, that's a huge gap there. I'm going to go with it for the purposes of building it. But I mean, I wouldn't want to glue that together until I've actually built it, because I like the snap fit, because it means that when I come to paint, I can take them apart. Once you glued them, they're a little bit final, and suddenly you find like these I'm finding quite difficult to get up with the capes. But they're actually really good. I quite like those. So the next thing we want to do is get those Zenithal highlighted with primers, and then we'll see what they look like once they're primed. Okay, so it's time to do some Zenithal highlighting. Now, what Zenithal highlighting is using 3 colours. I'm using 3 primers, black, grey and white. And what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to do an all over prime in black, and this will cover everything, so obviously we can paint it. Then what we'll do is we'll come in at a 45-degree angle using the grey. We need to keep that airbrush 45 degrees to the model, and what will happen is all the lower detail, it won't touch that. That will be where all the shadows are, and then we'll then go over it just at that angle with the white, and then what will happen is it will pick up all of that nice detail. So save that image in your head, and then at the end I'll show you some that I've done. So first thing I'm going to do is get me black, and what I'm going to try to do here is just putting as little as I can get away with. I will warn you guys, this is a brand new airbrush and a brand new compressor. It will make some noise, and I do apologise for that, but it's actually not as bad as I thought. Right, so we want to go all over with the black. Make sure we get it as many places as we can. Why is that not coming out too well? What's really nice about this is because we're going to be doing 6 models, by the time we finish the last one, the first one will be ready for the grey. And in fact, actually it does pick up some detail once it's primed in black, but it will look really good once it's fully. I'm going to need a lot more primer than that. So the reason I try to guess exactly how much primer is because we're going from black to grey to white, we won't actually need to change the, we won't need to clean the airbrush out between colours. This is one of the good things about doing, for example, when we're doing shades. So obviously if we add grey to black, we just end up with, ooh, we just end up with a slightly darker grey. This airbrush compressor, it's got rubber feet. Right, I'm going to call that one done. And okay, so what you may have noticed there was I did a very quick clean out of the brush. It's not clean. It doesn't need to be. The next stage that we're going to do is grey, which is just going to lighten up the black. And obviously anything that, you know, if there's any black still in the airbrush, it's going to darken the grey slightly, so it's not going to be a problem. This time though, I am going to just thin the primer just slightly, and that's only because I think the airbrush is having a little bit of a problem. The nozzle might be, I don't actually know what size nozzle this is. So it's a brand new airbrush, I've never used it before. So we'll just mix that up. Oh. Still not spraying that well, is it? There we go. Right, so what we're going to do now, you notice that when I was airbrushing before, I was turning the model, I was turning the airbrush. We need to be a little bit more strict this time. We need to keep the airbrush at 45 degrees to the angle. That's just going to pick up the raised detail. Sorry about knocking the camera. I have had to move the angle so I can get it in. But yeah, so we're just going to spray it. So we're going to miss most of the model, or some of the model, but it's just going to pick that detail up. So remember I said to keep an eye on that one. Remember what that looked like when it was grey. We'll see what it looked when it was white. Sorry, when it was unpainted. We'll see what it looks like after it's been Zenithal highlighted. Okay, so after a grey, you can see it's picked up a lot more detail. If you look at it from underneath, these are probably the best ones to see from underneath. You can see that, for example, under the cloak, it's still very black. And it's just picked up some detail. And well, we've kept it all the time that way. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over it with white. Now this time, we need to just keep it from the top. And that will just pick up all the top detail. So I've cleaned the airbrush out. It's not absolutely perfect. I've got as much of the paint out as I can without giving it a good clean. There's a little bit of grey in there, but it really doesn't matter. So let's see how this affects it. And you won't need a lot of white because you're only doing a quick pass on the top. I'll probably put way too much in there. So let's go for it. So guys, there we go. After getting 3 different colours of primer on it, you can see how that detail has really popped out. So what we've got is on the underside we've got black, we've got on most of it we've got grey, And then just on the top we've got white. Now where it really shows the Zenithal best, if you see there, that's white on top. Guys, I can't seem to get the focus now. If you turn it upside down, you can see how black that is inside the cloak. Just can't get in there from those angles. Underside of the weapon is black, whereas the top side is white. And it really does show, like, you see where the chainmail is. Guys, can we have a focus? There we go. The chainmail bit is all that detail popping out. Absolutely amazing. So you can actually get a very good result with very little effort. Now, if you were to paint with very thin paints, that highlighting will show through on your paints. So you just build those layers up gently, and you'll see, like this cloak, for example, where you've got 2 or 3 different colours there, and that will reflect with the painting. So I'm happy with that result. So I will keep going with the Zenith. Look at the writing on that scroll on the, even from a distance, look, you can see the details start to pop. And these are your little cheats. There's a good look where the armour is there. Really, really nice. Right, guys, so I am calling that issue done. So next issue is going to be issue 16, where we will be doing Primal Lair.